Hello.
What's up, everybody? How are you? Greg, nice to see you.
Hey, what's going on? Not much, man. Trying something new out there. Welcome to the Essential Credentials episode 70. We have made it for one more before the end of the year. And Alan is going to be showing up in a few minutes, I guess. So,
Maybe
see everybody. Greg, how are the holidays going for you so far?
it's good. Uh, I'm kind of sick again, so
What? How's that even possible, man?
uh, it's 0 degrees here, and I don't know if it's allergies or more. I don't know, but I woke up this morning and my throat was really constricted, and I was blowing my nose. So I've been sick for since November 10th.
Yeah, and I thought I had it bad being sick for a month. I mean, it's been the year of sick for you, honestly. But
Yeah,
hopefully, it's just an allergy thing, and you kick it here in a couple of days, and you don't have to go back to your favorite doctor again.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I was feeling good, steroids, Z-Pack, and then this morning, um, like I said, it went down from we usually get 50 to 70 degrees. Today it was 0 to 5 degrees. So
That's intense, man. I mean, growing up in negative 10 or 15 or 20 was terrible. And it being, 5 or 6 degrees here, I thought that was bad. But a lot of people down south, as we call it, have been having it really bad. So hopefully it doesn't last too long. Nothing like having Christmas and single degree weather, huh?
yeah, we got some snow. We got I don't know a tenth of an inch of snow, a dusting.
Okay. Well, it's good. I'm sure all the kids there appreciate the snow on Christmas time. That's always
Yeah.
a nice little treat. But I mean, minus the sickness, I think that 2022 has been, man, it's been a really, really good year hobby wise. I don't think anything's going to top, kind of like the beginning of getting into it seriously back in 2019. But I think this year for me has been really, really fun. And I think it's always good when you figure out like what you're going to do for your collection. Like for instance, you didn't go and find like a new player. You were able to kind of focus on a few different things, right? And I feel like it's been really cool to like see all that variety. Do you feel like it's been just as much fun as when you were still picking off those big salmon cards, or do you think it's kind of a different feeling this year?
Uh, it's a little different just because I don't know. We were young, 2017 to 2019, we were really young, and I say young.
Not
I'm 30.
sick, not sick all the time.
Yeah, I say young, but younger,
Yeah,
and it was fresh. We were in the group. We just found the group. Everybody was talking. We were
yeah,
putting, we were posting and commenting and finding cards, learning about cards.
yeah.
So it was just a different element. It was a different type of collecting. It was a naive, fresh collecting kind of vibe. So
Yeah.
now it's just about switching modes, and you don't know. Obviously, you don't know everything about football. You don't know everything about hockey and basketball, but you learned a lot about baseball.
Mhm.
Same with me. So
Yeah.
in those early years of collecting baseball, I kind of learned a lot, and then I switched gears, and so I knew quite a bit about football just by knowing about baseball. But
Right.
basketball is completely different, and hockey is way out of my element. So it's been different. It's been different. I won't say it's better. I won't say it's worse. It's just different,
Right.
and the freshness isn't there. The
Mhm.
the young, like, I don't know that.
Youthful energy, right? The
Right.
youthful, this is
Yeah.
new and shiny,
Right.
and I've never
Right.
tried this before. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not there. It's just different. It's a maturity. It's an evolution,
Yeah.
and it's just different. So I enjoy it. I'm still enjoying it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. It's just different
Right.
because the Tim Salmon early years where I was into Frank and everybody, and especially Tim Salmon, getting the new
Mhm.
stuff. that I didn't have. Now I do. Um, it was on the hunt, and now I just see what comes to me. So I'm not
Right.
really on the hunt for too much. If it, every now and then something pops up on my save list, but I'm not on the hunt too much. So it's just different. What about you?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I felt like I got to go through that, like you were saying, it was like new and exciting when we were all learning about the 90s baseball stuff. I mean, we were learning, what was it, like something new once or twice a week? We'd find out about a set or a card that we didn't know existed and our players in it. And you're like, what? How did I
Yeah.
not know this? I feel like I got to go through that again this year with hockey. Like you just said, hockey is kind of foreign. It's very different than football and baseball now, and even in the 90s. It's kind of its own, beast in a sense. And it takes a lot of time and effort, like we all went through back in 2017 to 19, learning how everything works with the 90s, the prices, the cards to be looking for, and the questions to ask. I felt like I got to go through that again with hockey, but it's different. They're very different collectors than the 90s baseball collectors. And so you meet new people and you learn new things. And so I think it kept it fresh for me. I feel like I'm about to go on a journey like you just went on this last year. This year for me, obviously Fleury's still going to get, still going to get some cards and sets and whatnot, but it's definitely going to be more of like a chill vibe. And we've talked about it like crazy, but going to the National is going to be so different because we're not going to be, frothing at the mouth in every dollar box trying to find that Tim Salmon golden anniversary that's sitting in there that nobody even knew was rare, So I think it was just as much fun, if not more enjoyable this year because I got to go back to my roots of hockey and loving it like I did when
Yeah.
I was a kid. So, I mean, I guess all that's missing now is actually playing hockey. That would really cement it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
DuckTales.
I wore a Ducks hoodie, so I wanted to get in on the Ducks vibe best I could. But
Yeah.
I know where's the DuckTales background, man. I got to make it happen.
Yeah, I got a deep DuckTales background, but it's fun that you get to learn and redevelop yourself into hockey because, like you were saying, hockey is different than baseball, basketball, football. Um, there was some overlap in the 90s, but it was very little, very minimal. And so that's kind of a new experience. That's hard to do. Football, basketball, baseball, I think had more similarities
Yeah.
than hockey, baseball, football, So I think you get to have a kind of a new experience. That'd be the similarity of you getting into wrestling or tennis, golf, because
Yeah.
those things didn't exist for that sport in comparison to the top four sports. So I think that's a good opportunity for you to get into something new and learn about something in even modern stuff. You got a lot of modern stuff in hockey that doesn't exist anywhere else. They've
Yeah.
got a unique opportunity to come out with cards that are a lot different and they're licensed. So that's pretty cool. It's not a Panini unlicensed product, and
Yeah.
you don't have to go with Topps who just phones it in every year. So so that's pretty
Yeah.
cool for you guys.
Well, and it's interesting. I did the Tebow thing there for, a year and got almost every nice card of his, but it didn't have the same newness because while it was different than baseball, it was kind of the same. You're still chasing those rare inserts, and a few of them are really nice, but I didn't have really anything vested into that player other than I thought he was cool and he's in a lot of stuff, So to collect a guy who I've always liked, who still plays, he's very much beloved in the league. It keeps it fresh and exciting, especially when he does well and has a
Yeah.
really cool setup. And then you're going to see that on cards. Like just yesterday, Upper Deck posted a picture of him along with some other Minnesota teammates signing cards, which I would assume would be Minnesota cards or whatever. But knowing that he's still signing stuff, still being put into products, I mean, it kind of keeps that excitement fresh. Whereas, for you, I know it's got to be tough with Salmon and Frank because the modern stuff really doesn't do the same for you that the 90s stuff does. And so I know Stadium Club maybe is the exception, but it's different when your guy pretty much is done getting new stuff, and so you're kind of looking for that next card that's going to be, exciting or get the juices flowing. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there's anything out there, Greg, that could get you? Obviously, it won't be the same, but like get you excited similarly to when you were in the group with us. We were all finding you salmon cards, and you're finding us cards. Like, is there anything out there you think it down the road that could do that for you?
It would have to be some type of insert, some type of unique situation. Panini is nice, but they're unlicensed, so you just see a gray jersey, a blue jersey, a black jersey. So I kind of can't get into it. And Topps, just I feel like Topps phoned it in. So it really would take, all I really want is, a beam team, a triumvirate, some holographics, essential credentials. I just want something unique, something that I don't see every day, something that just kind of like takes my breath away. That's really what I'm looking for. And I don't know that I'm gonna find that. Stadium Club came out with the salmon. He's got the autograph, the black foil, the rainbow foil, holofoil, but it's just a variation of the same thing over and over and over again. I got the autograph, I got the holographic foil, and it's cool, but I don't need the rainbow. I don't need the whole rainbow set. I don't need any more. I've got one. I think it's cool, and then I'm done. And even then, I'm just kind of, I don't know that I'm like foaming at the mouth for any of this stuff. It's just like a boredom. Oh, something new. I don't, something to chase that's I can obtain. Obviously, the golden anniversary refractor is not popping up, so I'm just looking for something. And when that pops up, you get bored. You look at eBay 5-10 times a day, and suddenly you're like, I'll pull the trigger on this, which is brand new, but it's something that's available. It's right there. It's readily available. So
Definitely.
I think it's just a crime of opportunity. So I go ahead and pull the trigger on something new, and then I get it and I file it away. And I don't know that I'm going to look at it a lot compared to the 90s stuff.
Right.
So it takes some ingenuity, creativity that would really get my juices flowing. And I think that's why right now I've kind of been in a tennis, wrestling, Larry Bird kind of mood, because it's something that is different. Even basketball has Panini, and Panini's got the license, so naturally you see some fun stuff that's got the license, and you get to see the logos. And I showed you and Alan. I got 3 Larry Bird autographs that were kind of reminiscent to Pacific, some Gold Crown and Kramer's Choice kind of looking cards, and that got my juices flowing. That got me interested. So it's just looking for something either that brings me back or something that's new. And baseball is just not doing it.
I can totally understand that. I think if it wasn't for Tyler Glasnow being cheap and also having some, pretty cool cards now and then, I'm definitely way pulled back than when I first was like, I'm going to get every rainbow. I think that I'm a lot more selective now, but when he's pitching and he's unique and he's very good and again, affordable, I think it kind of makes me see past that, but I also completely understand. I used to go crazy for all this stuff, and Topps just kind of, I'm waiting for them to be a little more, different. I want to say unique, and makes me kind of wonder. I know Fanatics is still a couple of years out, right? Is it 25 that we get them making cards?
I'm not sure what year, but it'll be coming up.
I wonder if they are seeing that just in general. Upper Deck, and you've talked about this. Obviously, a lot of the cards that I show are autographed or have game use patches and stuff. But even their insert designs that they do, every now and then they come up with one that you're like, ooh, but nothing is as unique as the football inserts, and maybe basketball too. I don't know. I don't buy any of the case hits because they're priced up in the stratosphere. But there's definitely a need for more of that, for more uniqueness and ingenuity. And I hope they do that, because maybe that would pull someone like you in, or you're not the only person feeling the same way. People kind of hit a wall with their collections, and you need to find something to inspire you, and your direction of the tennis and the wrestling and kind of looking everywhere else really got me thinking about the Jefferson stuff, because it's going to be new and unique and exciting every time I get a card in, whether it's once a month, once every 2 weeks. So that's been probably the coolest revelation of my collection this year is going down that path, which I tried the D Wade thing, and it was exciting, but it didn't stay exciting. The Jefferson inserts, it helps that he's completely dominating the entire league, but the cards look great, and that for me is what does it. They are so unique, and yeah, loving it.
That's good. It's good to have something different. And I got a mail day today. 1989 Converse PSA 10.
Sick.
It's something different. That's where I'm at right now. It's just something different. And there's probably 85 of these in a 10, but I have a huge connection to Larry Bird, and he in Converse. His shoe was really cool, so it was just something cool, and it popped up. I'm also looking for the 85 star Crunch and Munch, and it's just something different. That's like I said, I'm just enjoying this right now. It's not the standard issue tops. Looking for the red label out of 25. I'm just looking for something different, and and this popped up, and it was one of those that I pulled the trigger on.
I like it though. I think it's been a good reminder from you, is to kind of be looking for other things that maybe are nostalgic or inspired you as a kid to look for. I think, if Joey Cora had more stuff out there, I might go looking for that. But like the Randy Moss connection, which then led me to Jefferson. I mean, Madden was my jam, and I used to just, hot route it deep and just chuck it to Moss, and he'd usually get it. But just looking back on those things when flurry stuff is kind of slow. But I don't know about you, but maybe this was you last year, but like when Salmon stuff, you had 98% of everything you wanted. When you would get a card like the Collector's Choice, for instance, that finally exists, it makes those additions to that collection more significant, and so I think when I'm able to find a flurry that I don't have, like I created my want list of 50 for this year, every time one of those is obtained, it's going to mean more than just a card coming in the mail, So that's a fun place to be too. It just is a lot slower. You're just not getting new stuff in constantly. It's like a card a week, 2 cards a week, card a month, and those cards carry a lot more weight. And so looking forward, I think that's what I'm excited about, is to, you have all these connections in the hobby. And as you know, with the Collector's Choice card, the Prime Choice Reserve, those connections can really be significant and make the hobby fun. And then you're able to help someone get something, they help you find a card for your collection. So I think that's kind of like looking forward goal wise, really what I'm excited about. And, knowing it's not going to be super fast paced, it's nice and steady.
Yeah. No, if you're pulling something out of your prime guy, then that means you found something big, because you've got everything. So when you do pull the big card and you're excited to show it, then it's going to be a big card. It's not going to be something small. It's going to be something big, and that's exciting. But it just seems fewer and far between, which you either move on or you stay in hibernation mode until it pops up. So you got to pick. What are you going to do? Are you going to save money till it pops up? Or are you going to find something different? So it's just really up to the collector. what to do with that middle ground, that idling time.
That definitely seems to be as a collector now as compared to like you were saying when we first really got it going. It tends to be a time where bad decisions can be made or good decisions can be made because you know
Yeah.
you start wandering into like, oh, let's look at this other player like Jordan Clarkson that I really like, but thankfully you get down there and you're like, oh, he's just got the same stuff that everybody else does, so there's no
Yeah.
variety, you know.
So
Um,
I've found that like if you wait a day, 2 days, 5 days to buy something like that, then usually within 1 to 5 days you don't want it anymore.
that's
If
true.
you buy it immediately, you're going to be excited, but when you get it, it's going to lose its enthusiasm really quick. But
Yeah,
if you can sit on it for 1 to 5 days, odds are you'll decide that you don't want it.
that's a good point. Do you know the last card? Can you think of a card that happened with for you?
Um, no, I'm sure I have one, but I can't think of anything offhand. I know it's happened numerous times where I'm like, why did I get this?
I had a Jordan Clarkson Genesis parallel. I really like the way those look from Mosaic. They've got, you know, the swirly lines behind it. It's very unique. Or the peacock, those look really cool as well. But I have one of glass now, so I'm like, if I want to look at one, I just look at my binder. I got them sitting right there. I mean, they look amazing. So why
Yeah,
do I need another one? So I had it on my watch list for 2 days, and then I got rid of it. I just wiped it out of there. I don't even want to look at it and be tempted, you know, when it's
yeah.
I'm bored or something.
Yeah,
Um,
it's those moments where you get bored, where you just want to buy something, you just want a mail day. But if you can sit on it for a day or 1 to 5 days, you'll end up not buying it because you're like, yeah, I'm over it. It's those spur of the moment purchases you end up regretting.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. You know what? It's amazing how being in those groups. I mean, I know you got your football group, which is awesome, by the way. It's been real fun to see some of those cards pop up. But there's something about the constant interactions and posts and whatnot that really keeps you motivated, you know, and gives you stuff to chase. And you know, we've kind of passed that point where, you know, we already know what we're looking for. Somebody posting it is not going to make us look for it harder because we've looked everywhere for it. We've posted everywhere for it. There's definitely things that need to happen this year to keep it exciting. So I think that's something I've really been thinking about is I don't want it to become stale. You know, it's so easy for this hobby to become stale and you get into group breaks or you sell a bunch of stuff or, you know, whatever. So it's going to be nice, kind of just a slow and steady year and really excited about anything that comes in as opposed to like, oh, here's another 20 cards for, you know, the Glass Now collection. It's going to be more focused, I think. And that'll be fun, you know, especially on the Jefferson stuff, man, because I'll get a case hit to chase once or twice a month. And yeah, that'll be about it, I think, for that collection. But it's going to be sweet for sure.
Well, so I don't have any goals for 2023. I am just kind of living by the seat of my pants, and I plan on getting some Larry Bird stuff. I plan on getting some Barry Sanders stuff. Tim Salmon, I don't know. That's one of those, like, if it pops up, then I will buy it. If it doesn't pop up, then I guess nothing.
Mhm.
Um, Frank, I haven't really bought a whole lot of Frank lately. That doesn't mean I'm not collecting him. It's just I've not been in that cycle yet.
Right.
And I assume I'll buy some comics in 2023 at some point. But I don't really have anything specific that I'm going to buy. I don't have anything. I want the Bowman Chrome Golden Anniversary Refractor,
Right.
but that's the only thing that I'm really like. I would buy if it popped up immediately. I don't think I'm going to be in the price range of a Barry Sanders Essential Credentials uh,
Hmm.
98. I don't think I can afford that. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know,
Big one.
maybe the Flair Tradition Trophy Collection Barry Sanders is the equivalent of the starting nine.
Okay.
There's 20 of them. So maybe if that popped up, I would pull the trigger, but I don't really have any specifics that I'm looking for. And I was thinking about that because I know we talked about goals
Mhm.
of 2023, but I don't really have anything that just I've got on my list. It's just more of a if this pops up, then I will buy it, and I probably can't afford the rest of it. So,
You got some other priorities where the money is headed for sure. But how about for not? I mean, I got to put you on the spot here because I was wondering about this myself. When we decided to merge our channels, it was a really big decision, and we were all not sick, and and it was fun to go back and look at some of our older videos. Especially the intro that you made. I did go look at that the other day. I had a good laugh. I was like, that's pretty creative, man. I gotta think of something, to just have fun and do that. But
yeah.
do you have a goal or something or some things you would like to do on the channel this year? Any creative ideas? Maybe something to try that even if it doesn't work, it was fun to try or something.
Um, no, because that's not how I work.
Yeah.
I'm more of like I'm in a good mood. Let's do something fun.
Okay.
So it just, my intros were literally the day of. So I sat there and I was like, what would be fun? And then it just popped up in my head. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those. I'm in a good mood. It's a sunny day. I'm just thinking how to have fun,
Yeah.
and it pops up and I do it. So as far as the channel goes, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've been sick for a month and that sucks. So it kind of saps my energy. And,
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm just not in the mood to do anything because I'm like blowing my nose and I'm
Yeah.
going to work. So it's just one of those like I think it'd probably be a little bit better when it gets sunny and warm and
Mhm.
I'm assuming when I feel better, I'll be more in the mood to do stuff. But it literally just pops in my head the day
Right.
of, and
That's
I'll
cool.
spend like 2 hours doing something fun for an intro or a video, and I just run with it. So I don't. That's not how I work. I'm not gonna have any ideas right now. It's
Mhm.
just it could be a Tuesday, and I want to do something fun.
Cool. Well, I think that's one thing that's always been fun about the channel is we just kind of think about what can be creative or exciting at the moment and go for it. I do spend a lot of time watching our other subscribers' channels and just kind of seeing how to try to do something. Maybe obviously top 20s and all that. People are going to want to watch those. I know that's kind of like sticking with the system type deal, like sticking with what everybody else is doing. But I think it's fun to try new things too. And my big goal is to get a mount for the iPhone so I can film and make it actually look good. Went through some of our old videos, and there's something about having it face you. You've talked about this before, and having some personality with your videos. When you're looking at the cards, it's great, and you're hearing someone talk, but there's not that really that excitement that you can see on their face. And I think that I keep coming back to thinking that would be the best thing to do. So that's about the only thing I can think of, other than just like coming up with some themes and giving me a reason to pull cards out. I feel like that's something that it's so easy to not do that when you're focused on the new thing. But we have some pretty cool stuff, and it's good to
Well,
pull it back out and look at it.
so there's a good mix. I think I've watched enough videos and we've done enough videos ourselves. I
Yeah.
think there's a good mix where I personally I like to see people's face. I like to hear them talk. I like to see their excitement.
Hmm.
Um, I like to. It's really easy for somebody who has that vibe to get sucked into it. So when I'm watching a video and somebody's talking to me and I'm looking at their eyes, it's really easy for me to just keep watching it because they have something about them that makes me want to keep watching. But also you want to see cards. You want to see the stuff that they're talking about. You want to see the refractor. You want to see the die cut. So it's like that mix. You got to find that mix where I'm talking and then you either like zoom in like with the edit clip or something and you show the card off for 5-20 seconds and then you go back, but you got to find that mix of showing off cards because people want to see cards obviously, but also
Yeah.
people sometimes want to see your facial reactions. If you're animated, that can lend itself to viewability. So it's just, if you talk like this, then you probably just want to show cards because it's not good. So you just gotta like play off of your strengths. And if that's how if you're really into cards, but you don't have that vibe, you're not that great on camera, then you probably just want to show cards. But if you
Yeah.
have something about you that people want to see, then it's okay to be on camera, but you also have to show the card. You have to show the cards because not
Yeah.
everybody just wants to see you jab for 5 to
That's why
20
everybody's
minutes.
watching this right now, though, right? Because they
Yeah,
want to listen to us talk. But
yeah,
I think you're right. There's something to be said about a mix, a good balance of both. And so I think one thing that I would like to do though is just bring more enthusiasm. I know how much I love the cards and I love the player that I collect. I feel like Nate does a really good job. Like every card he looks at is his favorite card, you could say. And
yeah.
I'm not just doing that to be funny and make fun. Like he really does love everything. He loves
Right.
his whole card room. He loves the base card on the shelf right there. He loves the brand new cards he just got in. I think really like coming, letting the enthusiasm come out a little bit
Right.
more would be something that I would like to
He
do.
he he has a youthful enthusiasm where he's
Yeah,
like, "Wow, look at this top base card," and
yeah,
it's fun because you get to live it through like a kid's eyes, and you're like, wow, yeah, truly enjoying this card, and I'm enjoying it because he's enjoying it.
yeah.
So it says a lot, and it leads. I mean, that's why certain people have a lot of views and why some don't, because it's infectious and it bleeds over into viewability. If, like I
Yeah.
said, if I'm like, this is a really cool card, you're going to, people don't want to watch that. People are going to check out and they're going to be done. But if you're like waving your hands around and you're super excited and it just
Yeah.
it's hard not to be excited for people when they're genuinely excited.
Hmm. I would like to send a challenge out to you to do a video like the robotic voice, just straight, no emotion for like 3 minutes. See if you can make it. That
I
would be
don't know that
funny.
I don't know that I could do it. It'd be hard. It would have to be something I'm truly not excited about
Right.
because it would have to be, I still have a box of football cards I need to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them. I got for my wedding. I got a box of football cards and I have not opened them up yet.
Is it like a sealed box?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. It would be really tough just because here we go. Let's see. Oh wow. Sweet.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in there? Is there a nice berry insert that you're chasing or just wanting to look at some new cards?
No, I don't know what's in this box. Um, it's got 10 packs and 4 cards per pack.
Is it a blaster? Is it a
Yeah,
hot?
yeah. No, it's a blaster for sure.
Cool. Well, hopefully there's something sweet in there, man. I know those optic parallels, they're especially just the base silvers are super shiny. I don't buy them of Jefferson, but I have some of Glass now. They look good. But again, it's just the same thing every year. It was
Yeah,
funny, Panini this year for uh, was it Prism and Select and Optic pretty much used the same photo of Glass now for all 3 cards. And I'm like,
yeah,
guys, come on, like seriously, you have
yeah,
some variety. Like thankfully Mosaic's different and they crop the background out. So he's, his whole body shot is on there with the long flowing hair. So it looks good, but I'm just like, oh, man, I've really toned it down on those 3 sets big time. Like the ones out of 7, the first off the line parallels with like the cracked ice, those look really cool and they're cheap. But like everything else, I'm kind of like, whatever. Seen
yeah.
it before, so yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely toned it down on that collection. But it still is fun when like a red refractor out of 5 shows up for like $20. I mean, that's as rare as you can get. So
Yeah.
I was hoping Alan would make it here by now so we could show our top 5 off. I'm not sure if people watching or you had a chance to watch and I'm not feeling well, but last night at midnight, I filmed the top 20 out of 25 and kind of told people, hey, if I'm sure you're like going crazy not knowing what the top 5 are, but I have them here, so I figured I would, show those. You could show which ones came to. Were you able to get some cards out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I felt like just with 5, it's fun because we can kind of go into the why it comes into our top 5 rather than like, well, I paid this much for it. Some guy shows a Michael Jordan auto. I think it's pretty clear why it's number 1 or whatever. But I think for us, especially you're probably going to have a lot of variety as compared to what it would have looked like in 2020 or 19, right?
Yeah. 2020 would probably have been dominated by salmon cards.
Yeah.
And today is a lot of variety.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And I know it's got me thinking about what what Jefferson stuff that will come out, and how to be selective with it. Because some of it's like the absolute glass cards we talked about, so expensive. And I saw one, somebody redeemed it and got it back already, and I'm like, I can't hardly see the picture. It's cool. I get the idea of it being cool, but I'm like, is it really worth kaboom prices?
Yeah. They've had absolute glass for a while now, and I've been meaning to get a few of them, but I've never got any. I want to, but
Yeah.
I'm not.
They've got that uniqueness that the 90s provided, like using different materials and doing something different. But
yeah.
Cool. Well, would you like to start us off with number 5?
Yeah. So this one is a card that I was pretty. I didn't really want. I didn't think I wanted it, and it popped up.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was like one of those. It's got the prestige. It's got the prestige, but it's lacking. And so I thought I don't care about this card. Everybody talks about them when they see them. You get a bunch of thumbs up and cool card, awesome. Oh wow, blah blah blah. And I thought, well, I don't really care. I don't have the salmon. I don't need it. And then one came available, and I obviously was like, do it, price, whatever, blah blah. I jumped on it, and so I got it, and I like it. And it's the starting 9 for Clear Tradition.
Well, it's got a good picture though, right? So at least
It's cool. It's a cool picture. It's he's playing the outfield. He's making the throw. 3 of 9. They're bad boys, and I talked myself out of it. I thought I didn't want it, but now that I have it, it's one of those like prestigious. You just own 9. There's 9 of them, and you have one of it. So this is my number 5 for the year. I got it this year, and I don't regret it, and I'm actually very fond of it now. So
I like the color match too, Greg. Like the blue, because he's in spring training. That's a spring training picture. The blue jersey, the blue. I mean, I think design-wise, it kind of makes up for the lack of excitement that those tend to bring. I never really got into those either, but they have that they carried a sense of like, oh, every player collector should have one of these in their collection. You're like, oh, check that box off. Like this. Yeah. You've leveled up in your salmon collection.
It was a 100% checklist card, but now that I have it, I'm very fond of it.
That's good. No, I don't remember. I feel like you might have talked about that once on here once we got going again on the podcast, but that is a really sweet picture. I know the A-Rod ones were, they were all right. The pictures were never really amazing as compared to, can you imagine if they had them on your favorite salmon picture ever on a card? Yeah. That would have been like a number 1 of all timer for you. So
I probably would have I would have probably been fond of it.
Yeah, I think you would have been a little more excited when it came up, but that's awesome. Again, my camera's not great, so I'll show the card and then I'll do the old show the scan thing here. I'm sure you've had this happen though, where you lose out on an auction, and not only are you bummed that you lost, but you're like, oh, I bid so high and I still lost. I should have taken your approach to when the red Crusade showed up. I should have really gone for it, but I did. And in my mind, I did. I'm like, I know this should sell for this much, and I'm bidding 100 something more, and I still lost. I mean, I was really bummed, because I didn't expect it. And, fast forward to, 9 months later, and there was one sitting there. It's about the same price that I lost it for. So I thought, well, it's a bit much, but I might not be able to get one again because so many set collectors go after it. And it's the Marks of Distinction. Oh, it actually did show up all right. So it's a really big set that collectors are going after in hockey. There's certain sets that are out there that collectors just go nuts for, and this is one of them. And so I had to jump at the opportunity, to try to get it, even if it was about at my maximum on price. So sold a few things, and what was nice is the seller had it for best offer, which is, I was able to get it for right at that threshold. And they let me pay once I was able to get the funds in hand from PayPal stuff and whatnot. And yeah, so came all the way from Canada, and really happy to have that. It was a top 3 want going into this year, and to get it late in the year too was pretty cool. So
Well, there's always that moment when you're like with best offer where you're like, is somebody gonna like just buy it now? I offer
yeah,
X amount, but somebody could offer a little bit higher than X amount, or somebody could just buy it now, and you start to sweat during that period of time that you're waiting for an acceptance. And so that's always a very stressful. It's like time slows down to nothing when you make an offer on a card you really want. And
right.
that I love SP, so that card is really cool. Marks of Distinction. That reminds me of Signs of the Times and all the other SP autos that are around the early night or late '90s to early 2000s. Barry's
Right.
got a few, and I've always been an SP fan, so that card is really cool.
Be awesome. Every time we talk about hockey and SP, it's nice to see. Yeah, nice. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Perfect timing. We just started our top 5 pickups of the year. So yeah, you'll be able, whenever you're ready. You can show your one of your top 5, dude.
Okay, have you guys started yet? Have you started with number 5?
Sure did. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you keep going? Because I just got off work. I am
Okay.
running on 0 hours of sleep. So let me grab some cards.
All right, great. Glad you're here, buddy. It would be really cool, don't you think, Greg, if baseball and Upper Deck somehow, or football even, got going? I mean, just imagine some of the sick cards that we would see.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, there was even Larry Bird has some SP stuff from the early 2000s, and
Right.
I've looked at that. It goes pretty high. Like anything, SP seems to carry a premium for the late '90s, early 2000s. The Barry stuff, the Bird stuff. So yeah, when you show me that, I definitely have it pulls at my heartstrings because I love SP. I remember I bought quite a bit of it. I just showed you the SP Authentic Steven Jackson that I got, and
yeah, that was a sweet card, dude.
Yeah, I've got a Braylon Edwards, and I love SP, especially Authentic. So it's really cool.
Do you have a couple of Larry Birds that you're hoping to find if the price is right?
Yeah, but it really every bird is going to be between 100. Your average bird is 100 to 400, but the good stuff is 500 to 1500.
Jeez.
So it's
You got to be pretty selective then, huh?
You do. You can get a sticker auto for $99, but you want something from SP early 2000, you're paying 900, 500, 800.
Wow.
You want something from National Treasure, Flawless, you're paying 1200. So it's hard being a player.
It's tough too with Jefferson's the same way. You asked me the other day, are you going to get an autograph? And I'm like, I found a few that really speak to me, but they're in that upper echelon range. Man, his autographs are so expensive. Yeah, you could get a sticker for 100, $125. I mean, no. If I'm going to buy an auto like the three birds you showed me and Alan, it's got to
Yeah.
be that quality,
Yeah.
that kind of set design. It can't be just any old autograph. And so it might be a while, maybe off season when I find one, but
That'd probably be your best bet. And I told you guys, I'm really picky about my bird cards. I don't want to just flood it and water it down. I don't want to water down my bird collection. So most of my autographs are on card. Most of my Larry Bird cards have some specific purpose to them, and I've kept it that way for a reason. My Tim Salmon is obviously anything and everything, but Bird is a lot different, and I like that. I like having that type of specific request and requirements for my bird collection, because then when I get something, it's super exciting, it's super rare, and it's something very unique.
yeah, I'd say your bird collection was the big inspiration for the Jefferson side of things, just because that's the same focus in essence. It's specific enough that you're not going crazy and you're not buying something that you can't afford the next cool card that you really want.
Yeah.
If you really stick to the parameters of what you're looking for and be real picky, like you said, the cards are very significant when they do show up. Like the Far Out that just came in. I mean, that one I've been looking for since I first started looking for his stuff. And it's not very expensive, but case hit doesn't show up often, so it's rare enough to be desired. So that was a really nice one. Alan, did you find some stuff?
I did. Have you guys gone through all 5 of your cards or just one?
Just the number 5.
Oh, number 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just pick one because these are all amazing. So I don't know which one I'm going to go with first. All right, let's say number 5. It's an atomic refractor from 99 Bowman's Best. Been looking for this for a long time. It's out of
the atomic.
It's the atomic, and it's hard to get the shine across on this sort of low res camera, but it's a beautiful shine with etching. I've always liked this one better than the Broken Glass 98.
Oh yeah,
it just hasn't come up very often.
Those are overrated too. Don't worry, Alan.
So
I had to.
Well, I have had my shots to get it, but between the two, I really would. I mean, I've had an opportunity to get both.
For anybody that doesn't know, the atomic. So when you flip it over on the diamond, it has like a cracked ice little rectangle on the diamond. Do you see it there? Like it's got like a little weird refractor rectangle. That is how you differentiate the atomic from the regular refractor. Those little rectangles on the outline of that diamond is the difference between an atomic and a refractor.
I'm really surprised they didn't do it all the way through that whole diamond. You know what I mean? Like the background of him, that would have looked really cool.
Yeah. It's very subtle. It's very, very, very subtle. So it's hard to tell the difference. Obviously, the serial number gives it away, but on the front, it's very hard to tell the difference between the two, because I spent a while looking at the salmon and I was like, what is the difference here? And it is that little shine on that one line of the diamond.
I just learned something new today, Greg. I did not know that. I had the A-Rods and never noticed the difference, but I do want to say, Alan, that is one of the better centered copies of any player that I've seen. Usually that diamond tends to be one way to the one way or the other far, like it's way to the right or left. Like that one is almost in the middle of the card. That's awesome.
I have to look at the A-Rod you sold me. You see the etching in the wrinkles of his uniform. I mean, is that the case on the non-atomics? Is there etching there as well?
Obviously, honestly, I don't know. I don't know about the uniform. I know the outlier of the diamond is the giveaway, but I'm not sure about the uniform.
I can't believe I didn't even notice that. I figured the shine was brighter. That was the only thing that I could notice, but maybe I was like somehow fabricating that in my brain, even though it wasn't true. I don't know.
Eric Johnson in the Facebook group was asking me, like, can you capture the shine on camera? Because these are one of the cards that when you walk by it in a pile of shiny cards actually shines at you more than the average hot 90s shine. So I think one of the best ways to assess the shine is just to be too lazy to put away a whole bunch of 90s cards and just have them strewn about on your desk for weeks at a time. And then you'll know which ones jump at you when you walk by them.
Who would do that, though? Nobody we know would do that. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I don't think Greg would do that. Alan definitely doesn't do that. No way. All right, cool. I did not know that. I honestly did not know that. And the hockey one I've told you is a combination of that and the 98 with the cracked ice all the way through.
Yeah.
I actually had it for sale for like a hot minute on eBay, and I had it for a high price and nobody really offered. And I'm like, all right, I'm taking it off. I like it too much. So
what player?
Justin Tebow. But it's a really popular set. The hockey guys, that's like the equivalent of not quite Crusade, but it's up there. Like that is everyone's top want for their player because it's such a big set and a lot of subtle guys are in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. People were talking about it and showing it in the hockey group, and I'm like, all right, I should probably keep it. Making $150 on a card that looks that amazing, it's not quite worth it. So I sold something else for way more that I really didn't care about as much. So
cards in that $20 to $400 range, sometimes it's like not worth selling because you want to keep them. They're just too good looking.
Yeah, I know. I have a really nice one up there, but again, I kind of think to myself, like, do I want that or do I want one of those flurries that's in the same echelon? Like if he gets a Minnesota Wild, PMG down the road or some other really incredible patch auto with like part of the Wild Beast in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That might be something I'd want to drop that kind of money on, but
yeah.
Cool. So we're on number 4, eh?
Yeah, 4. Number 4.
All right. You want to start us off?
So I can't. Number 4 is like that.
Ah, nice.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I love that.
So that is a booster gold, a piece of original comic art. So that came out of, that was created for a comic book, and the artist drew it on a page and they rendered it, and they color it and they shrink it down for the comic book, and that is the original piece of art for page 10 of issue 46. And I'm the only one in the world who has that specific piece of art. Cool. And I framed it and it's right there. So that's my number 4 on 2022. It's a huge thing. I still do want a piece of original comic art, a cover, but those go in the thousands. This was not $1,000 or more. So right now it is a placement. It's a holder, but it is number 4 for me because it's such a huge get, because it's since 2013 I've wanted one of these and I've never ever bought one. So to have one is a big thing for me.
Yeah, I think it's rubbing off on me a little bit because Matt caught me like inquiring about an embarrassing comic book. It was like a Little Red Riding Hood with like in a bikini or something like that.
Did you see it, Greg? Oh,
no.
Funny.
Is like, when we were kids at the comic book store, they had Lady Death and stuff, but like they wouldn't go to that section of the comic book store because you're 12 years old. And over there, like it must be the best comics ever. So, so now I'm a little bit older, family guy, family man. So I was like, you know what? If I want to pick up a Lady Death with a little bit of extra skin, I think it should be okay. But of course, I was asking if some guy in the Philippines would ship that graded copy over to me, and Matt's like, "What is this? Why do you want that?" And I'm like, "This is embarrassing, dude. I didn't know that you could post something in some random group somewhere and just have it to be seen by like all your friends."
All right. It's
That's so funny because I as a 12-year-old, I bought Lady Death, I bought Dawn, I had Dark Child, I had Fathom. I was so into that stuff. And that's funny because I get it. I get it.
Okay.
I've commented on a couple of like bands posts, and like my friends are like, "Who the heck is this?" Like making fun of the name or whatever, like making fun of the guy's hair. I'm like, okay, how do I turn this off? You know, because you just get ribbed. You know, I'm like, what? Who cares? Whatever. It's funny. But that's something that I actually sent it down. I'm like, did you mean to, like, did you mean to do this? And yeah, I did. So that's cool though. That'll be something that fun for you, Alan. We talked about our goals for this next year, and Greg basically said, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Whatever excites me, I'm going to grab. Did you, a nice little segue, did you have any in mind this year? Like anything
Oh
that you
man,
were wanting to accomplish, maybe start a new collection or refine some things?
this might be a year of massive transition for me. So just in my life, so I may not have. I say this every year, but this year may actually be true where I may not have really any extra spare money to buy cards, which is a shame. It would be irresponsible right now, given the types of things that I need to buy now for the family, to spend too much on cards. So I kind of struck a deal with my wife, and I don't know if this works, but she said you can buy any baseball card you want for any price you want, but whatever you spend on that card, you got to put that much equal to that much in the family pot for family usage.
Oh man.
Oh, wow. Okay, that opens some doors right there, right? But that means that every card is twice as expensive as it
Right.
was.
Time to buy the Essential Credentials green. Make it happen. This is the time, Alan.
I know she sees $80,000 show up in the bank account. I'd be like, that would be a bad thing. But
I made a good decision.
I made a great decision for the family, honey. You want to hear about it? Oh man, Greg, that's a proposition, Greg. You should think about proposing that one and see how that flies. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh man, I don't know what y'all have to deal with, but I'll keep that one in mind. See, Alan, you just gave me another quote to write down. Whatever I spend, I'll put in the family pot. Deal. Yeah. There we go. Dang it. That's a good one, man. All right. I've showed this card a few times, but Greg and Alan, you guys have said it. The uniqueness of Hockey Relics is what makes it so cool. And I think that other companies, when Fanatics takes over, they could really learn to try stuff like this. And number 4 for me is the tape auto. Seeing how these were made on Panini's YouTube channel, getting the stick, the guy peels the tape off, puts it on a sheet, and they get it cut, and then seeing the card get made of Ryan Kessler, just like this, solidified it as one of the most unique cards in my collection. Yeah, it's out of 20. Knowing that it was used in a game, it's got puck marks on it, and then he autographed it later. I mean, it's probably my favorite, most unique relic game used material on a card that I own. And I got this. It's awesome.
I think unique is an understatement for that card because that's, baseball, football, we don't have anything quite like that. To have such a cool, different is the key word, card with such a unique a piece of memorabilia. I think that stands out. It's always going to,
right.
Short of the WWF female kiss cards with the lipstick. I don't know what else compares.
I need to see if Mark Andre will do that. I'll send him a card and give some chapstick and see if no, you're right. I mean, they can do that in baseball too. The tape around the handles of the bats, just get a bat, and before you slice it all up, do the knob for the Topps Tier 1 or whatever they put those in, but then peel the tape and put the little game use sticker on there, the little serial number thing, so you can see where it came from. I mean, I'd like to see them, we've talked about it many times, I'd like to see them do a lot more of that and do a lot less game used. Just stop with the jersey cards. Just do inserts. Stop it.
Yeah. No, I would like to see some variety for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that I've said before, and I'll say it again. I really love hockey cards, modern hockey cards. It's really the only other sport besides what I collect where I'm actually jealous of the cards. Like your Justin Jeffersons are awesome. They're gorgeous, but I'm not jealous of them. But when I see a
Mhm.
card like that tape card, I'm just like, I wish I was collecting hockey and collecting some of my favorite players because I remember
Yeah.
what it was like getting a card like that.
Right.
I love
Yeah,
it.
definitely. You know, it's awesome when you got people who don't collect hockey that say, "I'd like to have a card like that if I did collect hockey." I think that's what hockey has over the other companies, at least for now. You know, I mean, it was great to hear Billy say, "We don't think jersey cards are valued that high, so we're going to put less of them in products." I'm like, yes. Which, who knows if that's going to actually translate to like a lot less, but I would be much happier with that. So. Alan,
Mhm.
numero cuatro.
Okay, number 4. This year has slowed down for me. I was just looking. I had to. There's about, as you know, about 10 big cards that I still haven't even opened yet. So I guess they're gonna have to qualify for next year because I don't think I'm gonna get them open until next year.
Mm,
So I had to look through what I had, and this has been kind of a lean year. Like last year was crazy, and the year before was insane. And you
mhm.
just think that it's just going to get crazier every year because that's what happened for 3 years straight. And then suddenly, like I was having trouble coming with the top 5. I think the top 5, I have the top 4 really strong, but um, well, looking back at the year, I was just surprised by how little I picked up from my list. But that's just because
Mhm.
it's a shorter list now. But this is number 4. It's the PMG from 1999 Metal Universe. It's hard to get this shine or the atomic refractor shine on camera, but I hope you can just take my word for it. For those of you who haven't seen it, that this is one of the most beautiful shines on any card that
It is.
I've
It
ever seen.
is.
Really, really unique. And there's about 4 or 5 different angles where the card looks like almost a completely different card, and each angle is absolutely stunning. So this is 1 out of 50, which is pretty cool. But it's a huge card. I'm glad I picked it up when I did. Um, it's a card that I do not regret in the
So
least.
I was able to get the salmon replacement this year because
Yes,
mine
upgrade.
was mine was chipped on the
Mm,
bottom, and I was able to get a replacement for it. So I really do appreciate the shine on these cards. I looked at it again this year because I bought that new one, and it is top notch.
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of interesting because I know that that base set was not well received. I remember opening a bit of that stuff. Weren't those like they were really cool insert. It was kind of rainbow pink background. I remember those looking awesome, but I regret never seeing one of those in hand. Those are beautiful, Alan. You definitely made me realize how nice those are. What's up, Ray? Good to see you, dude. Hope you're doing all right, man. Hope you are doing all right. Yeah, happy holidays. Alan, is 7 the highest graded copy of that card from PSA?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it is. It was when I got
Right.
it graded. So I mean, they're so chippy.
On the back, right? The back chip's really bad too.
Both. Like
Both.
it's like the Star Rubies,
Okay.
from 99. Shipping is a huge problem. There are some players who have a PSA 10 that look like a 10, which is like miraculous to me. I don't know how
Yeah,
that's.
no joke. I can't even imagine what would exist. Oh
Oh, that's a
wow.
much better. That's much better shine. Glad we have some representation for this card. It's
Dang.
slept on. It's slept on even now. It says PMG, and somehow it's slept on.
So yeah, that shine is pretty unique. It is a very cool card.
Wow. Was that the last PMG that you got of Salmon, Greg, from the 3 that he's in?
So he's only in 2,
Oh, he's
and
not in 2000. Okay.
um, and so I got the replacement because mine was chipped, and so I found one this year that didn't have it. That was an upgrade, so I got this one.
I know, hard to beat that 98. Look, every now and then I still see people. There's a Paul O'Neill collector out there on Instagram, super cool dude named John. He posted 98, and I was just like, oh, they look so nice.
See my chip?
Yep.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a little bit unique. I don't know of another card that looks anything like it, like brushed steel,
Yeah.
purposely coarsely brushed steel. And the name sort of pops out of the card. It's like a 3D card. It's pretty cool. Very
Wow.
90s.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great card, man. If that's number 3, holy smokes. Oh, number 4, sorry. Wow. All right, top 3 time. We're in
Yeah.
big podium territory now.
Yeah, definitely. It's on me.
Mhm.
All right. This one I got like a month or two ago, a month and a half ago.
Oh
yeah.
man,
So
It's
this
you guys
is
know what that is?
this is the 97 gold embossed refractor.
That's what the football cards look like.
Yeah.
And they're almost uniformly as green or greener than baseball.
Yeah. It's crazy. So what's kept me from buying one of these is that every one I've come across has been super faded or super hulked out or green.
Mhm.
And this one almost looked pristine to me. It's got a little bit of the white is a little whiter than it should be, but it's so hard to tell, and it looks miles ahead of any of the other Barry Sanders that I've seen. All the other ones look like super green, super faded. This one almost looks like it came out of a pack. Like I said, the white is a little whiter than it should be, but I'm not complaining. So when I got this, it was one of those like, oh man, I don't have the Frank Thomas, and this card makes me want the Frank Thomas 20 times more.
I was about to ask you how it compares, but now you're going to have to tell us after you
Yeah.
get one.
I don't know. So I will get the Frank one day, and I'll let you know. But man,
Ooh.
Well, that's the baseball version. So this almost made my top 5, but since it was an upgrade and I had this card for a while, I thought it was kind of cheating, so I didn't include it. But
so as you can see, the die cut for that is the decal edge right on the border. Mine is a little different. Mine has the side edges, and it's kind of like the curved loop, whereas his is the decal edge on all the outer edges.
See, and that's when you first sent that picture to us. I thought it was an insert because of how die cut it is, Greg. You know what I mean? Because that's more subtle, like you said. I mean, that's pretty extreme for it to be part of the
Yeah.
base.
See, mine is quite extreme, and Alan's is very, very subtle.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Sorry, that was funny. Alan wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. So yeah, his is so subtle. You have to really zoom in to see that die cut. Where mine, you could be pretty far away and see it is die cut. Both are embossed. So there's just quite a bit of difference for the football and baseball.
yeah, though I said before, and I'll say again, that card looks like you just pulled that out of a pack yesterday. It may as well come out of a pack that Justin Jefferson.
And for what it's worth, not all football looks like this. You go, the different subsets have different type of die cuts, kind of like basketball, where you have like weird like brick wall, and you have like just different defense and offensive subsets that have different die cuts. So all baseball, to my knowledge, is that die cut, but not all football and basketball is the same die cut.
They got to do more stuff like that nowadays, Greg. You know what I mean? Like really explore your creativity, make half the sets you do, and do some cool stuff like that, man. Like, why not? I know they're doing that. I think that set is next, right? No, 93, 90. That set's in 2 years. If Finest does their flashbacks like they do every year, that set's coming up in 2024. So I would really like them to do the deckled edge. Like this year in Finest Flashbacks, they did the Protector Refractor out of 10. I thought that was pretty cool, like a little callback to the days of getting a protector on the cards. But man, they could really have some fun with the baseball set if they did like the football set and did all these different subsets and different die cuts. I mean, nowadays it can't be that hard, you would think, right?
Yeah.
But
not if you put some effort into it.
yeah, that's saying a lot for a company that comes now. They have like Topps Cosmic Chrome. Like they came out with like 5 new sets. I'm like, guys, like it just, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, whatever. We can
Yeah.
go down that rabbit hole. Mine's also a PMG, Alan, but mine's not nearly as beautiful as your guys' cards are. But this was a pretty significant addition for me because for Marc Andre, this is one of his rarest cards out there, the PMG Green from Fleer Retro. It's the highest graded company or highest graded copy from any grading company out there, which there's only 10, so can't be that exciting. But I'd say this is probably the most significant addition just because of the prestige that it carries in the hobby and the hockey community. I knew that I would not get another chance at this card, and to put the number that I did to win this was a little unnerving. I'm not going to lie. I don't like 4 digits is not a realm that I go to ever. And so, yeah, that was a bit scary to be honest. But I look back and I was like, well, I mean, if I didn't buy it then, when am I going to buy it again? When will I ever own that card again?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the only PMG until 2 weeks from now that Fleury is going to have. He's going to have one in the new metal, but he's in a Blackhawks uniform. So,
but also it's not the first one, so
exactly.
that carries some weight. And the question is, now that you spent 4 digits, like you said, is it something you're regretting, or is it like yeah, you don't.
No, I mean, do I hope a raw copy comes up and then I can use this to help me get 3 others? Kind of, but I think it was my first experience in that realm of purchasing something, and I think we all can remember that as collectors when we always used to joke like, I don't want to go over $100, like that's my threshold with A-Rod, and then Alan comes along, he's like, I think about 500, and to get used to spending that amount, you're like, oh, okay, so this is what this feels like, and it's hard to justify that amount unless I have 2 cards, well, 1 card in my most wanted that I would do it for. It's a triple auto of Brodeur, Waugh, and Fleury out of 15 from the Cup 09-10. And I had a chance at one, but it was really like right after this. So, I mean, what am I going to do? But it's definitely, when you go to that realm, you want it to be something that is super significant, not just how did you phrase it, Greg? With the starting 9, a prestige card or something along those lines.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it just to say you own a copy of like some card that everybody else likes. You actually want it to be something you love. So, yeah, it's my only graded card in my collection, by the way.
I mean, that's a complicated card and a complicated way to look at that card because the prestige is a huge component of that card for sure. Yeah. And I don't think that it cheapens that card, sort of not in a money sense, but in the way a person can admire it. Like I greatly admire that card, a lot of respect for that card, a lot of respect for where it came from, and the type of collectors who go after cards like that. So that's one thing. And the other thing is it sometimes makes your card cooler. Like Greg and I were talking about this, the starting 9, like I assume once you have it in hand, it's a little bit more badass than you ever thought it was, right? Because it was really hard to get. You may not see another one. Yeah. And the thing that occurred to me about the starting 9 in particular, if I could just diverge for a second, is that it's a parallel of a base card, right? A core base card from one of the 4 most important brands in baseball cards, a brand, Fleer, that goes way, way, way back. So I understand where the prestige comes from there. And I think the same can be said for PMG. I think PMGs are going to be prestigious forever. Don't you guys think that? Like forever from here on out.
I do.
Yeah, and it's the first year that they did it in hockey. So really kind of strange to think. Can you imagine if they'd have done it in the 1 year they had it in 90, I think it was 96, 97, if they'd have done the same thing in basketball and done the green and the red like that. Yeah. Gretzky, that card would be astronomical as far as value goes. And so would have changed the game a lot. But this first year was pretty important, I thought.
So that hockey card, it's the first year for hockey for the PMG, and it's green, and it's always going to have a tie to basketball and football, which were 97 PMGs who had the same color, green and red. So you're always going to have that connection and having that connection to basketball is always going to be a bump for you because anything that you can connect to Jordan is always going to retain value. And having a first year PMG green, it's always going to have like, doesn't Jordan have a card like that? And then boom, you're like, that card in and of itself was a wise purchase. And it's one of those cards where you're like, yeah, I probably paid more than I should have, but do I regret it? Absolutely not.
All right. It actually came up at the right time. Had it come up 2 weeks prior, I might not have been able to buy it, or I would have had to sell something I didn't want to sell. So, I mean, it kind of worked out perfect. Yes, I did eat ramen for a couple of days because, I mean, I had to wait for my payday the next 3 days later, but I had to do it. You know, it's a once a year opportunity. And when those cards come up, you have to, really make a strong play for it because you don't want to regret it. You know, if it went for like $3,000, I'd be like, well, that card's, I'm not even going to think about ever owning that card, so I can put that away. But yeah, no, so probably the most significant purchase of this year. For sure.
Have you bought $1,000 card since?
No, I will only do it with if I bought a shield or like a 101 button or like something like that. A 101 non-auto would be less than that, or that triple auto. Those are the only 2 cards I will do that with, just because you got to have limits, Got to have limits. Money's not going to keep rolling in higher than it is now, so I got to be pretty careful with that. But yeah, pretty exciting edition.
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely. Is it on you, Ellen?
Is it? Are we top 3 right now? Oh, okay. All right. Top 3. So I didn't think I would ever be into sticker autos, but this sticker auto just does it for me. It's a beautiful autograph. Every time I walk past it, my heart skips a beat. That's how you can tell you really love a card.
Nice.
Every time I look at a scan of it, my heart skips a beat. And I have to remind myself, okay, dial it back. It's a Band-Aid. It's a sticker auto. Like, don't get too high off your own supply here. Like, it's not that great, but it's great. It's great to me.
101.
Yeah, it's a 101. I mean, it's just a beautiful burgundy color back there. It's just a beautifully designed card,
Sterling is so nice, man. I remember watching them open so many boxes of that. I don't know if you did that, Greg, just seeing what the little hint was going to be on the front, right?
Yeah. I did. I bought one box of triple threads in 2006, and that reminds me. It's very similar, but yeah, Sterling is very cool.
Triple threads always seemed like a really fun box to open, just because they had a really cool looking box, right?
Yeah.
And the way you opened it was strange. I don't know.
Like pyramid or triangle looking.
Yeah, right.
So my hit was some random autograph of a nobody, and I got a Tom Brady, Lawrence Maroney, somebody else, game used. It was a triple game used. Those are my hits. So it was kind of a dud, but I had fun opening it.
Triple threads football?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even know. I thought it was only baseball.
No, I had football.
That's a living on the edge of your seat purchase right there, because you can hit like one of those white whales or one of those big booklets. So I mean, some of those all-star patch booklets from the baseball look amazing. I mean, yeah, they look great. Just knowing they're not game used, it just takes all the excitement out of it for me, other than the all-star patches.
I honestly think now that Tom Brady, Lawrence Maroney, whoever would probably be worth more than what I sold it for in 2007.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Especially if you just sold it at the end of last year when they won.
Tom Brady stuff sells well.
Yeah.
So triple threads was never game used except for All-Star?
Nowadays, it's only All-Star.
Oh, nowadays. Okay, not back in the day when it first came out.
Oh, all of it was, right, Greg? It wasn't in every sport. Everything was game used, even in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
How much was a box back then? Do you remember?
It would have probably been 120, 150.
Okay, because I am as distracted from baseball cards as I have been in recent times. This is This is a magic box. Yeah, this is the set that contains Transformers in it, and I
Uh-oh.
bought like a giraffe box. I think I mentioned this last time to play with my kid, and there were no Transformers in it because the boxes are designed for you to build a deck, and you can't have too many badass cards because what if one guy gets 3 and the other guy gets none? They're gonna get destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So every card has to be kind of like mediocre. So like skill takes over. So then I
Yeah.
went back and I was like, I need some Transformers. I haven't broken anything in a while. This thing was $225.
Wow.
I bet you the sale value of the cards in here are like less than 50 in the end.
Wow.
But
Wow.
but it's still cool. This is the highest sort of end collector booster. There's 3 tiers: the draft booster, which you play with, the set booster, which you build big decks with, and then this is for like the people who are into the money and into the grading, into the collecting. But for me, I just really want some Transformer cards. Soundwave Optimus. So can't wait to.
Yeah. Very cool.
Well,
Very
if that box turns out to be a bummer, you can open this with me someday. I don't know. I've heard these are pretty sweet.
Dude, those are sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had this box sealed in the bottom of my display case. It's got to be gaining value, I would think, right?
There's like what 400 packs in there.
Yeah. There's what is it? 48 packs per box, 11 cards. I mean, that's a lot of cards to look at, man.
Yeah, you get some Chinese finger traps in there, and you get some puzzles and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know we all have. Greg has a sealed box. I have a sealed box. Alan has a sealed box.
I don't yet, but I'm making my number one goal for next year if we're talking about that. And one thing about that is if they had foil cards in there or like a hologram card, I actually think a hologram Quasimodo would be pretty cool, to be honest. So if they had a hit, that would make it worthwhile.
That card or that box will remain sealed for a very long time because it's just like the memory of it. I still remember I was thinking to myself, I messaged the seller on eBay. I'm like, did you send this to me on accident? Like, what are you doing? And then I don't know why, but it was like, it just clicked. I'm like, oh, Greg, like, cause I had mentioned I told my dad I wanted to go to that instead of Independence Day. What was I thinking? Jeez. And the fact that you remembered it like months later and then sent it to me, I was like, what the heck? I've never been more confused in my life opening a package. I was like, oh, sweet. Somebody sent me some hockey cards or something.
That was similar to when you sent me the glass now for refractor. And I was like, I sent the message. I was like, I didn't order this, dude. Sorry, but I didn't order anything.
Oh, you didn't message the seller?
I did message him. I said, I didn't order this. I don't know what this is.
I can't believe it because that's an easier connection because who do I collect in baseball? Like it's, but yeah, it was so funny. And the guy didn't say like some dude named Greg bought it for you. Like he's like, you can just keep it. That's what he told me. Oh man, he didn't care about it. He wanted to get rid of it anyway. But it's funny because I told Greg, I said, I don't own one yet, but when I own a display case, I will put it in there. So when they were here where I'm at now, people would come over. There's all these amazing Marc-Andre Fleury cards, and on the very bottom shelf is a Quasimodo sealed box. They're like, what's this? I'm like, let me tell you. So I kept to my word, Greg. Kept to my word.
That's good. I'm glad that you still have that box. It's very important.
Yes, I mean it signifies more than what the cards are. So that's kind of why I've kept it for all these years. I'm waiting for it to be like $400 or $500 so I can be like, hey, Greg, can I use this to get a Marc-Andre Fleury card? But then again, I mean, it's too funny. So
wait long enough, and it will be.
They just need to make a real movie of it, and then I'll cash in.
Yeah.
We are on our top 2 now. Yeah, both. I feel like mine are pretty unique, so I'm excited to see what you guys got.
Yeah. I was going back and forth on what was going to be number 1 and number 2. It was a tough decision for me because they're both very important. But one has a little more like significance and value, and one has more emotional ties in a different kind of value. So I was what should be number 1, what should be number 2. So here's what I ended up with. The number 2, which it's crazy because it's just by hair, Ask me tomorrow and I might have flip-flopped these, but here we go.
Oh yeah.
The Prime Choice Reserve. Thanks, Alex. This is my number 2. It was so close to being number 1 because these don't exist. I have the only one in existence. So
Are you sure that's a real card, not a reprint? Because you were convinced they weren't real.
yeah, number 32 out of 100 or 1 out of 1. However you want to say it. This is the only one I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've hunted salmon down. I tried to find this card through a guy, through a girl, through a guy, and I've been on a wild goose chase for 5 to 7 years, and Alex did the unimaginable and the incredible and found somebody who claimed Chuck Finley gave this card to him, which is insane. Chuck Finley gave this card to a man, and Alex found it. That's an insane conversation, even in and of itself. So, just to have this card is so incredible. I never thought I would. I gave up almost, and just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Well,
I feel like that's the card that kind of got you excited about not only collecting but like doing the YouTube channel. Like it all kind of happened all around the same time, and we were just laughing so much having conversations as you were kind of working your way back into the hobby this year. You're saying it doesn't exist, Matt. Don't even talk about it because it's not real. And then all of a sudden you go, yeah, I guess I talked to some dude. He said Chuck Finley gave it to him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Like that right there was just like, okay, I'm out. That's not true. And there it is. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Chuck Finley has a drop on the Prime Choice Reserves. So
he's got the other 99.
I guess. I don't know.
Lie about that. So that sounds very, very credible, that story, right? Why would you pick Chuck Finley of all people to say he gave it to you, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a beautiful card, beautiful story too. You'd never even seen a picture of it until you got it, right?
No, I had never seen a picture. I knew of the base design, obviously, but I'd never seen the actual shine on it. And I'd never seen I've searched everywhere when PWCC existed, all the other searches, nothing, not one single picture.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
Man.
One of my
Alan, does that rank up there with some of your favorite designs of the 90s?
You're just going to ask that, huh? Yes, it does. It was a beautiful card. The picture matters, and in that case, the picture is actually really amazing for salmon, so that adds to the appeal, right? The Bonds picture is pretty good too. So, but yes, I have a soft spot for upper deck, lower end, collector's choice type stuff.
Yep.
So that is one of my very, very favorite 90s cards. Has been from like almost the very beginning. Since I discovered 90s through you guys.
I think I made you buy an A-Rod before you got the Bonds, and that picture is awesome because it's sideways card. He's on a follow through on a swing, and then just the etching and stuff is just such a great design. That's one of the coolest cards out there, let alone one of the hardest to find of your player.
Yeah, A-Rod had a very unique swing, and some of those cards that are horizontal really take good advantage of that one. And I was thinking the game jersey as well from You know what I'm talking about from 2000, I think.
Oh yeah,
the pictures, great picture.
Yeah, don't get me started, man. I almost went down an A-Rod rabbit hole. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not rebuying stuff I used to own.
Come back in. The water's warm.
That's what I've been telling you about hockey, man. Come on, we're waiting.
I might just. How about we both go?
Yeah, right. No, I don't have the money for that. I think the cool thing is, though, I know that the majority of all my cards went to A-Rod collectors, which is great. I even the one that you were able to use to get something else, went to the other Matt. All my cards went to people that loved them. So I don't have any regrets about that for sure. It helped. It helps not make me like wake up at night thinking, what did I do? What have I done? Both of these were tough too because they were both like number one, number two. This one was actually my number two was my most wanted, but number one is where it's at because of the community connection. If somebody broke up a set that I never thought they'd break up. But I got into a Penguins group and I made a trade with somebody to get this. And the only reason Daniel Remington, shout out to him, decided to do it was because he knew he was helping me get my Holy Grail card. And in my opinion, it's the best Vegas card that he owns. One of the coolest set designs, autograph designs I've ever seen. Hopefully my camera will focus or I'll pull it up. But I don't have good lighting in here, but it's acetate. It's like a silver pen. It's just on the black card, the way that the picture is designed. It is one of the coolest, most unique, pure autograph cards that I've ever seen. And I remember seeing a picture of it and wanting one so bad. And it was like the A-Rod Quantum Leap. It was in that realm where if it ever shows up, my heart's going to skip a beat. And Daniel wasn't even planning on, again, moving it. I was like, hey, I have this Fleury that I think is similar that I don't really like as much, and a Tristan Jarry rookie auto. And he said, okay. So he shipped it all the way from Australia. It took almost a month, but that was an exciting day in the collection. Wow. I went live on Instagram. I filmed it in front of my display case. It was amazing. Yeah, I had to double take. I couldn't believe I got it. So that one's my favorite autograph card, just autograph in my collection.
Period. Hockey does acetate better than anyone. And you probably told me a million times that was acetate. And today is the first time that it actually sunk in. So that's really, really cool. It reminds me of maybe some of the UD Black lustrous materials. They were black in the background, but also there was a pane of plastic in front of it. Except you're saying your card is completely constructed of acetate?
So it's got there's an acetate on the front of it. So it's extra shiny on the front. They've done this with a few sets, but it just makes it pop even more. And to have that silver ink pen on there, I almost think at first I was like, I wonder if it would be better if it was gold, but because all the other things are silver and hollow foil around the edge, it just made it even better. I think it just adds to the design of the card,
Yeah, it's a beautiful card.
Yeah, that is a card that if in any sport, if you had a player like Tim Salmon or Barry Bonds or, Acuna or somebody, Tim Anderson, you'd probably think about grabbing a copy, even if it wasn't your main PC. They're that nice. And there's a lot of set collectors out there. And there's a couple guys that have been like, hey, I'm doing the set. And I'm like, don't even ask. Just do yourself a favor. Just don't ask. I'll let you know if I see another one. But yeah, never ever going to let this one go. Ever.
Very, very cool. It looks awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It's one that I've had it out for a few days and I just kind of pull it aside and look at it. Oh, man.
I was just like you guys. I was just like you guys. I had trouble deciding between the last two. That would make sense. Gosh, Greg put it so well, just in terms of what one means and what the other means. One of these has been at the very top, tippy top of my want list, my physical want list that I just sort of carry around with me on my phone for years. But it's been there and obtainable, just sitting there forever on eBay, just calling to me. And I took a couple of stabs 3-4 years ago, swung and missed, and I just pretended like it didn't exist because I was just like, I'm not going to pay that much for that card. The other card was such a spectacular card that I couldn't even really dream of wanting it. It's like, you can't want that card. You just got to, if it ever lands in your lap, then it does.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'll say that this is my number 2 card. This is the one that was on eBay for a long time. It is the bankruptcy issue Crusade from 1998 Donruss. This is the base Crusade design in the back with the lions and the seal. This is the purple. It's reputed to be the only one of its kind in the world. Same with the red. And then there are supposed to be 2 greens, supposedly. These are supposed to be numbered right there. This would have been numbered out of 100 if it was packed out, but it never was. And I really, actually not a huge fan of bankruptcy cards in general, but I made an exception for this because I wish that this was the one that they actually released in packs. And it's actually freaking gorgeous. You could probably see some of that shit.
That design never gets old.
Ever. Well, yeah, that's the card that doesn't exist. That's the they have the call to arms, and this is the one that doesn't exist. I wish
Right.
there's salmon out there, but who knows if I'll ever get one.
I'm sure you will. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, that is amazing. No, those I went back and actually watched the episode where we spoke with Rodney on the podcast about the Crusades that don't exist and how they have such a powerful backing behind them because they are Crusades that were unreleased.
Yeah, and even the Crusades that were released were stealth release, and it's a huge set with a ton of players in it. I mean, it's one of the most perfect sets you can imagine if you were to conceive of a set, just to have as many players as possible on a set. I think that really makes a big difference.
I think it's top 5 all time in insert design, not parallels like PMGs, for instance, but like pure insert. It's got to be a top 5er of all time, right? In baseball. I mean, it's up there, man.
They had football and baseball, so it was really cool to see those.
Yeah, I mean, do you still, when you're looking through your cards, Greg, do the Crusades, do you tend to stop and take a peek?
Oh yeah. I've got a Barry Sanders green, and I've got all the salmon minus the unreleased, and I always have to stop just to take a peek because they're so shiny and so cool to look at.
Yep, I'll always remember the red. You getting the red, that was a cool day.
Yeah, that was a cool day.
Well, fellas, I guess it's time to reveal numero uno, huh?
Yeah, this was a hard one for me, man. Big decision. So this is, like I said, the salmon had a lot more meaning behind it, but this one is just like packs a punch. And I got it earlier in the year. It was always something that I always wanted for years and years and years, and I finally pulled the trigger. And we got a lot of baseball guys, but we also have some comic guys, and it is a comic. It is Showcase number 22. This is the first appearance of Hal Jordan, the Silver Age Green Lantern, and it is a CGC 5.0. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. And so just because of that in and of itself, this had to be my number one for the year. Like I said, the salmon packs more of a significant internal punch, but it's like this is just leaps and bounds above. So I can't disclude it from the number one. And this was a huge deal for me. So to have it, I feel a little more complete in life. Just like the salmon, but this is on a way different level. So this was my number one for the year, and I will always probably have this. It's such a huge thing for me. So.
Wow, put it in perspective for us. Like in terms of first appearances of superheroes, would that be like a top 50? I mean, given how rare it is, how old it is.
50 is fair. Green Lantern. Hal Jordan is kind of one of the main Green Lanterns, so I think 50 is a fair thing. For Silver Age, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, I think that's a good place to put it. There's a lot of first appearances that probably rank up, and you have this movie just came out, so Harley Quinn is super important, but in the overall just terms of significance through the course of comics, I think this one is probably a mainstay in the top 50.
So I guess my question too is like looking at it from a comic book perspective, other than it being a first appearance, is that one of the higher grades that you can find on that comic? Because when was it made? Back when?
So this was actually 1959.
Oh man, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea it was that old.
Yeah. 1959. I mean, you can find it in a 9, but you're going to be paying $90,000. You know, so
Whoa.
you're going to be paying a lot, maybe even 100,000. Probably, you know,
Okay.
you're going to be up there. So a 5 is not bad.
Needed
So
some
it was,
perspective of like the echelon of where it would fall, like, but
yeah,
that's wow.
yeah,
That's
and
incredible.
and that's why, it brings a hammer to it. It brings a big punch. So I can't make it number 2 just because of the significance of it. It's just too
Mhm.
big for me to skip. The salmon, like I said, has its other reasons, but
Right.
this is on just a different level.
I think it kind of represents the different direction. Alan, before you got here, we were talking about how different our collecting styles are now as compared to when we all got into the group in 2017 and knew each other, went to the national first time. I mean, I think it's kind of showing, Greg, that you're finding different avenues to keep the passion alive. Whether it's comics or
Yeah.
Larry Bird or Barry Sanders or whatever. So that's
Well,
cool.
you know, I collected comics in the '90s, and I was just into comics as much as I was into cards. And then in 2013 to 2017, I was just in the comics. And I kind of got burned out, and I went back into cards in 2017. So comics have always had quite a significance for me. It's
Mhm.
just I always go into these cycles where it's like cards, comic cards. What is it? What am I doing? But comics have always had somewhat of a significance for me,
Mhm.
and they've never just dulled out. That light has always shined, and it's always just stayed within me. So every now and then I get the itch for a month or two, or half a year.
Right.
This year was more significant because I got burned out a little on cards, so I did switch over to comics, and that was when I pulled the trigger on this one.
Okay.
And it's I was happy. That was a good month when I got this one. I celebrated, having this for a while, so it was fun.
Very cool. Alan, you're probably going to start drifting into that territory a bit too, huh?
I am. I'm a card collector through and through. So I actually do like the slab idea. My favorite part, I'm not a true comic book guy because my favorite part of a comic book is the cover. Like that is my favorite part of it. And if they
Mhm.
shrunk it into card size, it would be like perfect. But yeah, I'll take comic book sized as well because when it's a
Right.
slab, it feels like a collectible that you can just stare at. The centerpiece is you can't even open it, can't read it even if you wanted to. So I have already spoken to Greg. I'm like, I'm teetering, like once I finally decide that I want to dive in, I'm definitely going to be asking for a lot of advice. I mean, I already do because comic books are much more popular than sports cards, right? Like you can go to almost any city and there's a comic book store. It's really hard to find a card shop nowadays. I feel even nowadays, it's hard to find a card shop.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I find myself in a lot of comic book stores, and I'm always like, texting Greg, like, "Is this good?" Is that I can't tell if it's going to get annoying because if I had a friend that every time he went to a baseball card shop was just took pictures of baseball cards, I was like, "Dude, is this good? What about this? Is this worth?" Like, I'm blocking you for the weekend.
Geez. No, I think it's you're going to somebody who's probably got a lot more advice and patience than most people. So that's good. I mean, be cool to see what you end up finding this year and what categories you're looking for. I think, Greg, it sounds like you kind of fused your love of cards and your original love of comics, like you're kind of bringing them together rather than just choosing one or the other.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
it goes. It's one of those, like, you can't get a bunch of comics and a bunch of, like, always. It's either like a comic month or a card month. You know.
Yeah, I mean, would you be able to handle having like a top, like the golden anniversary and like a cover original art piece come in at the same time? You wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, but that would be like a euphoric kind of month. I don't know. That might be just the end of it.
Yeah, and I've peaked, guys. I'm done. I'm out. Take care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's. I mean, to kind of springboard off you, this card carries a lot of significance because in terms of mean, you have set collecting, player collecting. It's one of Panini's coolest cards, if not the coolest card they ever made. And the fact that Jeremy Lee, who's a pretty significant person in the community and podcasting and the hockey card community and the card collecting community in general, he also helped start up Tag Grading Company, which is one of probably the best looking slab out there. He's a pretty well known guy that I never thought would break up his set to help me get this card, but this is it. This has to be the best card of the year. This is the Buried Treasure National Treasures, and it's got a big, obviously fake, but metal chunk embedded in there. It's very heavy. Out of 10, there's non-autograph versions out of 50, but let's be honest, we three, if our player had the autograph version and the non-autograph, we all know which one we would want, right?
Yeah, no
I think it's
question
pretty easy to pick. So I had messaged him a couple times about this card, just kind of seeing if he would ever think about moving it. And he was like, but I don't know. When Tag started up at kind of the end of the year, and I was like, hey, I would like to end the year a couple months ago, with a major addition. Would you be willing to let this go? And we came to a price that worked for both of us, and he had it on its way a couple days later. And it was, I like you said, almost euphoric when it came in. I couldn't really believe it. Because one just got listed. Funny enough, one just got listed 2 weeks ago of that card, and he's got it up for $2,999 of best offer. So that's way past where I paid for mine. It was under $1,000, which was what I was hoping for. And so seriously, if that card was up there, I'd be in some serious trouble.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm never going to have a chance to buy it again. So
yeah. Thankfully, you were able to buy it from somebody who you kind of knew, and you were able to get a good deal on it, because like you said, when you have those kind of prices, you got some competition and those prices can go up. But you were able to get it at the right time. That's a super amazing card. I love how that card looks, and just having something unique like that on the card is really cool.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see a card like that again. I think if Panini was doing hockey cards again, you wouldn't see it. That was their final year making cards, and so they wanted to kind of go out with a bang. And that National Treasure set is one of the nicest looking sets that they've ever done. I know Dominion is always going to be my favorite, but that set, they didn't mail it in at all. They did the opposite. They went big for it, and really happy to have that. That's definitely one, any player that has one of those, that's everybody's most wanted card, and then the PMG, and then everything from there. So, yep. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to top this. I probably won't next year.
Yeah. I mean, because the top two cards you showed were at the very top of the top 10 spreadsheet or whatever, a picture that you showed everybody at the beginning of your Fleury collection, and those two were at the top. The number one was number one, and so I remember you talking about it for a long time. It makes it that much more sweet that it was there just within reach, you know what I mean? And then you finally got it, right? That's that's like this. It was there the whole time, and I was just ultimately, I would have been so mad at myself actually had I let this go. I forget how long it was sitting out there for, 4 years. Yeah. So and there are cards out there right now where I have a bead on top 5, top 10, top 20 Bonds wants, and if I can finally get the card, it'll be a sweet victory. But the other side of it is that you're likely not going to get the card, and it's going to be super bitter. But anyways, we will see how it goes. My number one card is not as splashy, I don't think, as that card is, but it's just one of my favorite Barry Bonds cards, period. Might be my favorite Barry Bonds card now overall. So as beautiful as that is, as important as it is to my collection, as high as it was on my want list, this one wasn't one, like I said, that I could imagine getting, even though it's a lot more it is I pulled out the wrong card, guys. It is a lot more spectacular. It's a lot less rare than the card that was just before. I actually don't know if I have the card now, so Take that.
It's still in one of your packages, dude. We're gonna have to do a live mail day right now.
I don't even know. I don't know where I put the card. Okay, it's if I can't find it, I'm just gonna have to show you like a proxy card. But
Greg's like, I know where it is. It's right under the desk. Here it is. That would have been awesome. That would have been
oh
really
man,
funny.
guys.
Guys, okay, yeah, I forgot to mail it to you. My bad, dude. Sorry.
I have been up for 36 hours straight with no sleep, so forgive me if I'm a little bit punchy.
Greg, I have a question actually. Since is that a perfect fit comic graded sleeve thing?
No, this is like a CGC. Well, I take that back. It's not CGC. It's a standard issue. It's not perfect fit, but
Okay.
I don't know what specifically cases that this is. This came with it. There's a plethora of different sleeves that people have. You got Ultra Pro and other various cases, but this is just one that came with it. It's really crinkly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm curious to know how. I mean, he's using the same material as everything that we have on our cars. I'd be curious to see. Hey,
That jet is only $1.
That back is awesome.
can you find that jet nowadays? Can you find one online?
Not for under $1.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What do you think it says about a person who doesn't know what one of their favorite baseball cards is? That's worth like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like I was almost going to give up the search. It's somewhere,
I think it's
somewhere. But this is the card here. So this is the dual auto. It's out of 50. So there's 50. Doesn't feel like there are, but there are. And it has, in my opinion, the two greatest baseball players of all time on one card. Hard signed in a similar pose, just appropriate for the set that it's in, passing the torch. Clean, crisp, before your hand gets sort of wavy. You know, when you get on the wrong side of 70, this is still crisp. It is one of my all-time favorite cards. I have it in a top loader because I want to protect it until I can get it in a slab. So,
our levels of protection, Alan, are all different. For all we need to make sure people know that.
Well, to me, like the best you can do, to protect the card is actually to put it in a soft sleeve and top loader. That's my own opinion. So that's why it's in here. But and I didn't honestly know where it was. So
that's incredible, man. That I don't think it's going to be hard for you to top that as an autograph card. I don't know if you can ever top that.
I don't think you can. This is the best Bonds autograph out there. I already liked the one with just Bonds on it as my favorite autograph, but I just really never, like you go on the PWCC site back in the day when they still had that, and you look at how much these things went for, and you're just like, I'm never going to be able to pick that up. It's just going to be too expensive, prohibitively. But you just have to just wait, and sometimes it just drops in your lap. So
yeah,
nothing
you're able to pull it off.
Yep.
Awesome, dude. That's a heck of a way to end the show. I would say that 2022 was my, I don't know, I don't want to say my favorite year, because those first couple of years, man, there's nothing that we can ever do to replicate the feeling of being in that group and learning new stuff all the time, picking up new cards for cheap that were awesome. But I'd say is probably the best year as far as like really being 100% sure of where my collection is going and knowing that I'm never going to sell my Marc-Andre Fleury cards. So yeah, it was an amazing year. Greg, how do you reflect on the year besides how you don't think about how you're feeling in the last 2 months? Think about the whole year. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, it was a good year. I don't know that it stands out quite any other from my previous years, but I had fun. I didn't die, so I'm having fun.
Yeah, a couple of significant life things that went on that are always going to be better than cards. So I'd say it was a pretty awesome year for you. And thanks again for coming on here, even though you're almost dead. But Alan, how about you, dude? I mean, obviously way different than a few years prior. How are you feeling about 2022?
I mean, it was good for probably not card reasons, just for life reasons. It was just a life-changing year for me. So that was great. cards kind of had to take a second, back seat to a lot of other things.
Right.
But it's always there. It's whenever I'm at work and I'm just like tired and I just want to relax, what do? You just go on eBay and look at some cards, right? You go on Facebook and look at some cards. So
Yeah.
that's always there. Even though I'm in a lull right now, it's always there, and it's comforting to have that, and it'll always be there. I'm not worried. I mean, it sounds like I'm trying to convince myself, but I'm actually not, because it's always been there. Even when I wasn't actively collecting baseball cards, I always found myself in a baseball card shop, wherever I
Mhm.
was. It just showed up. It just
Right.
called to me. And finally I just gave in 2018 and came back, and never really gonna leave. But I'm glad to hear that you had such a banner year for your collection.
Mhm.
That those are really satisfying. Like, I would say 2020 or 2021 was my banner year.
Yeah.
And it's real satisfying. And you're just like, can it get better next year? It almost can't. It's like diminishing returns.
All right. Greg, when was your banner year? Would it be 19 when we went to the National?
I don't know, probably 2020.
Oh,
Um, I pulled some big cards that year, so I think 2020 would have probably, just for the sheer significance of cards, I would
yeah.
probably think 2020.
COVID did exactly the opposite of what we were talking about. We get everybody's gonna sell their cars. Everything's gonna be cheap.
Right.
Everybody sold their cars, but it wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap.
But it brought a lot out. It brought
We're
a lot
seeing
out.
now what we thought would have happened at the beginning of COVID, right? So this is what
Yeah.
everybody expected.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you can never predict the future, because now that cards are cheap, nobody who has an expensive card wants to sell it. So you go
No.
on eBay, it's just garbage out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the cards are
Yeah.
good. So you're almost
Yeah.
like, I guess I'm not so sad because I'm not missing out on too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. People sold the good stuff in 2020, and now they're holding on to it to wait for another 2020.
Right.
No, it's really fascinating to see how things have changed so rapidly. But I got to say, here's to 2023. I hope at the very least we're gonna have a great time come August, and we'll get to hang out with some cool people, maybe find a card or two for our collections. But I think all three of us are gonna have a pretty subdued, nice and easy going year, and look forward to what kind of stuff we create for the channel and stuff going forward. It's gonna be fun. So. Thanks, Greg, for coming on. Alan, thanks for making it. Glad to have you guys here. Hope you both have an amazing time with your families, especially some surprises that Santa's going to provide, which are always great. Try not to eat too much cookies and delicious food. And Greg, next time we see you, hope you're feeling better, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good
Nice to see everyone in the chat too. Who we have? Ray, and we had Mitch, and of course we had Jeff show up. So thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. See you next year.